Good morning, Bear Nation. Welcome. It's Monday, 6FEB23. We're going to do the brief today. We're going to talk about, we've got some balloons for the clown party, as I'm sure you and the entire remainder of the internet are aware. This Chinese balloon thing has gotten to the point where even the normies out there that are unconcerned about the fact that society as we know it is slowly shifting, sliding off the edge of sanity and into the abyss. Even the normal people are aware of the fact that China brought balloons to the clown party. But we're going to talk about that just a little bit. Hunter Seeker, good morning, everybody. And good morning to everybody in the chat. Cindy P, shalom, sister. And we're going to talk about Vladimir Putin and his ominous threats as tensions mount with the West. And morning, Dr. Trevor. We are on a timetable today. We got stuff to do. I got stuff to do. You got stuff to do. It's Monday, so we're going to get into it. Of course, as always, the show is brought to you by refugemedical.com, who I'm the founder and CEO of. We'll talk more about that later. refugemedical.com. All right, fabulous. Bear Independent Brief 623, 6 February 23. China claims it's a civilian weather monitoring balloon that simply blew off course. The U.S. claims it's a surveillance balloon. Yep. The foreign object floated at altitudes far above commercial aircraft with a ceiling of about 66,000 feet. As I understand it, even an F-15 Strike Eagle has a ceiling of 60,000 feet. Man, we could have blown this thing up anytime we wanted to. And we have a lot more cool toys in our inventory now than an F-15 Strike Eagle. Not that that's not a cool toy. I'm just saying it's one of our older toys. You know what I mean? Flew far above commercial air traffic following a trajectory that took it over, quote, a number of sensitive sites, end quote. Oh, by the way, it also appears to not just be a balloon, but a balloon that's able to control its positioning in four-dimensional space-time, i.e. it's directional. Yeah, it had directional capability. Considering the presence of Chinese satellites in low Earth orbit, it does not appear that the balloon should have any added value as far as espionage is concerned. Still, however, officials have offered no further explanation other than espionage, and at least one site suspected to be the target of surveillance is one of 3 U.S. bases where the U.S. houses its intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs, and nuclear missile silos. Good morning, Michael Martinez. Thanks for the $5. I appreciate you. You've officially bought me my first cup of coffee of the day. Good morning, Maurice. So, Chinese espionage, balloons, low Earth orbit satellites, infiltration, human, rumant, sigint, yes, all those things. But also TikTok. TikTok with 80 million American users. But TikTok, bro. Right. So, yes, on the one hand, we should be appalled at these Chinese spy balloons. On the other hand, but TikTok. How appalled are you actually? Question mark. I apparently am on TikTok. One of the people on our media team posts things from this channel there. But my phone, this phone, is not on TikTok. Nope. No, we're not doing that nonsense. Also, I'm just throwing this out there. I don't think that these balloons plural, because there were at least 2 over the Estados Unidos, one in Canada and one in Mexico, as well as myriad reports of other balloons in other locations, the vast majority of which are unconfirmed. They're just eyewitness testimony. Yeah, but that's how we knew they were in America in the first place, because a dude with a cell phone in Montana was like, what's that? Is that the moon? Nope, it's a balloon. Look at that. Hey, honey, get out here on the porch. It's a balloon. Yeah, thanks, DOD. You guys are doing a great job. Really super duper appreciate you. So multiple balloons, right? Which is great, because one balloon is fun, but a whole bunch of balloons, you ever seen a 3-year-old with a whole bunch of balloons? Way more fun. I don't think that these balloons were high-altitude EMP devices based upon the imagery that we've seen thus far. A lot of people have postulated, what if the balloons were filled with a virus? It's entirely possible. You got Bill Gates out there again talking about the next pandemic, which is supposedly, and we are full blown into the realm of tinfoil, completely off the brief right now. We're in all these rabbit holes. Serve Thrive, thank you for the $10. I appreciate you. That's 2 more cups of coffee right there. There were 99 balloons according to Across the Table with Bob at WAB. Good to know. See, I heard it was 372, right? But anyway, some people are saying that the balloons were filled with viruses because Bill Gates is now on record. He did a whole nother study of the next pandemic it's going to kill children. And then when this next pandemic starts killing children, the big they are going to use that to say, see, all you dirty, pure blood, unvaccinated people, now your children are dying because you wouldn't submit. No, me and my kids, we're going to stay home. We're going to eat sheep. We're going to make homemade bread, which is the Patreon video that I posted this morning. Matzah from scratch, by the way. And we're going to live our little lives, and it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. And if I see a balloon, I'm going to shoot it down because, that's my airspace, bro. So maybe the balloons were filled with viruses for Gates' next pandemic. Maybe they were high-altitude EMP weapons. Maybe. I don't think that's what they were doing. I think if they have anything to do with EMPs, what they were doing is tracking and monitoring the prevailing winds in the United States of America to figure out how one could position high-altitude EMP balloons. Because remember that study? It was commissioned a few years ago, joint DHS, DOE, and CDC, Centers on Disease Control. I got a video on that from about 3 years ago with CDC talking about how if the United States grid went down, 50% of Americans would be dead in the first 6 months. 90% of Americans would be dead within a year. Now, we know the big they are fans of depopulation. We also know that the big they are 100% in bed with China, which is why I think that this balloon didn't get shot down, because the people who pull the strings on whether or not we shoot balloons down nowadays are bought and paid for by China, and that they're all a bunch of traitorous assholes. Oh, I said that out loud, didn't I? It's Monday morning. Here we go. Badger 22 says, stay in your lane, bro. That's my airspace, bro. That's right. That's right. So China, yeah, definitely they're Chinese balloons, right? And why were they allowed to fly over America? Because the people who were in charge of saying, no, you can't fly here are bought and paid for by China. I think the balloons were mapping the prevailing winds because, according to that CDC report, three high-altitude EMPs, and by the way, 66,000 feet isn't high enough for 3 to work. You'd need a couple dozen at that altitude. But 3 very high up, low Earth orbit balloons, 3 of them, one over the center of the country, one over the Rockies, one over Appalachia, 3 of them simultaneously detonated will take the grid black in the United States of America. Now you're talking about a black start on the entire grid. Ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. So I think if it was high altitude EMP, that's what they were doing, because that's a very effective, cheap way to do it. And clearly we're not going to shoot balloons down. We'll shoot missiles down, so we say, or will we? Right? Or will we? We didn't shoot a damn balloon down till it was over the Atlantic Ocean. Oh, but we'll totally shoot missiles down. You should trust us. We're the Department of Defense. We're the Congress. We're the Senate. We're the executive branch. We love you guys so much. We'll totally shoot those things down. Hey, it's Saws. Good morning. Airdrop balloons were just delivering hunters' laptops. I think somebody said, and that's brilliant, bro. I believe it was you. We were texting about this. Said, yeah, the balloon has Hunter's laptop on it. That's why they didn't want to shoot it down. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So we're all worried about these weather balloons, yet 80 million Americans have TikTok installed on their phone. Back to the report. A lot of people asked why the U.S. authorities did not order it to be shot down. General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, explained, quote, why not shoot it down? We have to do the risk reward here. Right, because 4 people per square mile live in Montana. Oh no, it landed in a field or on the side of a mountain. Quote, so the first question is, does it pose a threat? Again, this is Mark Milley. A physical kinetic threat to individuals in the United States, in the U.S. homeland. Our assessment is it does not. Okay. Does it pose a threat to civilian aviation? Our assessment is it does not. Does it pose a significantly enhanced threat on the intelligence side? Our best assessment right now is that it does not. So given that profile, we assess the risk of downing it, even if the probability is low in a sparsely populated area of debris falling and hurting someone or damaging property, that it wasn't worth it. End quote. My assessment is you're a bought and paid for piece of shit with no balls. I guess I said that out loud again. It's super duper Monday, bro. The balloon was finally shot down when it was over water off the coast of South Carolina. Secretary of Defense Lloyd J. Austin III wrote in a statement, the balloon, which was being used by the People's Republic of China in an attempt to surveil strategic sites. An attempt? How do you know they didn't do it, homie? An attempt to surveil strategic sites in the continental United States was brought down above U.S. territorial waters. Also, by the way, who's China's new bestie? Say it with me. It's Russia. It's Russia. Don't worry, we'll shoot down incoming intercontinental ballistic missiles that are aimed at the homeland, but balloons are good to go. Okay, copy that. Roger that. The balloon, which was being used by the PRC and Russia in an attempt to surveil strategic sites in the continental United States, was brought down above U.S. territorial waters. We thank Canada for its contribution to tracking and analysis of the balloon through NORAD as it transited North America. By the way, did anybody notice that NORAD is better at coming up with Santa's current position on December 24th than they are with coming up with the position of this balloon? Free State Homestead, appreciate you. Pray for Brandon. He's a missionary in Turkey dealing with an earthquake stuff. Roger that. Everybody lift Brandon and the Turkey earthquake up in prayer. Okay? Okay, Bear. Appreciate you, Free State Homestead. Now, it was shot down in U.S. territorial waters, although there were reports going out that it was shot down by a civilian in Missouri. Was it? Or was a different balloon shot down by a civilian in Missouri? And if the civilian in Missouri shot it down, that's an 11-mile shot, homie. How did you do that? With what did you do that? I'm impressed. It was probably a 22 caliber rifle because everybody knows that that's the best prepper rifle out there, right? It'd take everything from bull moose to grizzly bears to Chinese spy balloons right out of the sky, homie. 22 caliber for the win. Back to the quote from Lloyd J. Austin III. Today's deliberate and lawful action demonstrates that President Biden and his national security team will always put the safety and security of the American people first. It was a ShyTac 22. That's right, Benjamin Wheeler. It was a ShyTac 22. Yeah, have you seen the new ShyTac 22? It's a 50 BMG cartridge, neck down to .22. Yeah, and you load a 36 grain copper washed lead bullet in there. It comes out of the barrel at 1 million feet per second. It's incredible. Yeah, it was a 22 shorty. That's what it was. It was probably one of those heritage revolvers you can get for $139 from PSA, but the long barrel one, the 8-inch one, because you need that extra muzzle velocity to get up to 66,000 feet. President Biden and his national security team will always put the safety and security of the American people first, while responding effectively to the PRC's unacceptable violation of our sovereignty. First of all, not even remotely believable on all fronts. Second of all, you didn't shoot the damn thing down until it was over the ocean. And note, by the way, that they shot it down in such a place that it was thought to maybe be irrecoverable because the water is too deep. I'm sure that was planned as well. Oh, goodness, this coffee's tremendous. Also, this is an unacceptable violation of U.S. sovereignty, but I thought the DOD said this has been happening for years. Crickets? Anybody? Crickets? It was a BB gun. Oh, yeah, that's true. I also heard that it could have been a Red Ryder BB gun or one of the daisies, but it was only 3 pumps on the daisy instead of 10 because the guy he was working on his marksmanship, you know. We all know it was a Kel-Tec PMR 30. If it was a Kel-Tec, it probably only fired a round or two before it jammed. I like Kel-Tec. I like how experimental Kel-Tec is and how much they push the envelope of what the firearms industry can and will do. But we all know Gen 1 Kel-Tecs are for suckers. Everybody buy a Gen 2 Kel-Tec. Okay? After the balloon was shot down, analysts were able to recover and examine the equipment. ? One official said, quote, the surveillance balloon's overflight of the U.S. territory was of intelligence value to us. I can't go into more detail, you peasants. You don't get to know. But we were able to study and scrutinize the balloon and its equipment, which has been valuable, end quote. Secretary Antony Blinken canceled an upcoming trip to Beijing over the incident. Why? Because he also has no balls. And after the balloon was shot down, China says the U.S. has, quote, overreacted. The Chinese Foreign Ministry issued a statement saying, and I wish we could get these directly in Chinese translated to English. I'll see if I can do that. The Chinese Foreign Ministry issued a statement saying China strongly disapproves of and protests against the U.S. attack on civilian unmanned airship by force. And, quote, the U.S. use of force is a clear overreaction and a serious violation of international practice, end quote. First of all, STFU, China. Second of all, China disapproves strong of make protest for attack U.S. civilian unmanned balloon for good spy. U.S. force clear make overreact. Violation serious practice of international, end quote, is what I think they actually wrote to begin with. You ever buy like a piece of machinery or equipment from China, you take it out of the crate and you read the instruction manual? We bought a table saw one time, a Powermatic 66, which used to be made in the U.S. and is now made in China. And the user manual had a infographic of a guy cutting all of his fingers off with a table saw blade. And the quote underneath it was like literally, please to no make for finger on saw blade for frowny face. And then it had a frowny face emoji underneath it. Thanks, bro. Yes, I will please to no make for finger in saw blade for frowny face. Roger that. One defense official also noted that Chinese balloons, quote, briefly transited the continental United States at least 3 times during the prior administration, end quote. So this is an unacceptable violation of our sovereignty per the current administration. However, apparently this has been going on for a hot minute. Canada worked with the U.S. to monitor this most recent balloon as well as, quote, a potential second incident, of which the reports were there was more than 2. There were multiple. The potential second incident is likely what Brigadier General Pat Ryder spoke of when he told Fox News, quote, we are seeing reports of a balloon transiting Latin America. We now assess it is another Chinese surveillance balloon, end quote. Sooner Bear says, I saw one over Oklahoma in 2018, and Oklahoma said no one said anything about it. Roger that. It was the 450 Balloon Master. So you know how Palmetto State Armory does those like obnoxious lowers, right? With like, or they're all custom engraved, like they do a special run. I wonder if they're going to do a balloon killer run of Palmetto lowers. They should. People will buy it, but only for subcaliber 22 long rifle AR lowers. And with all of this occurring, where do international relations stand? Customs data has revealed that China has been sending military technology to Russia since the start of the war in Ukraine. Who'd have thought? Wow. Color me surprised. Toward the end of this month, the European Union will be leveling a fresh series of sanctions at Russia. The U.S. continues to add to its massive funding of military aid for Ukraine, and has announced, the United States, that it will allow seized Russian money to be used to aid Ukraine. Why? Transfer of wealth. Did you just notice the largest single resignation of politicians ever in the history of Ukraine? Because they all got caught laundering money that was being sent, your taxpayer money that's being sent over there. FTX, anybody? To which I'm not talking about a field training exercise. Anybody? They're laundering funds. They've been laundering funds. That is in large part one of the things that goes on when a war happens. You launder funds. Where are those funds ending up? Back in the pockets of Democrats. Who'd have thought? And I would dare say it's just a matter of time until we realize back in the pockets of Republicans as well, because they are both 2 wings of the same shitty bird. The 2-party system sucks. They don't represent you. They represent them. They don't do what's good for you. They do what's good for them. And they, I believe, can see the writing on the wall as well, that this country, if there's not a massive amount of intervention post-haste, will continue to crumble and die. And we will experience the age of an empire. And I think they're milking this thing for everything that they can so they can build their bunkers in the mountains of the Rockies so that when this whole thing goes to pot, they're okay. And all us little people die off and they're fine. And they live to rebuild and make this thing the socialist utopia that they want it to be in the first place. It's super duper a Monday. I should have another sip of coffee, right? Fluster Cluck Farm says exactly. As usual, the threats and bravado concerning nuclear weapons continues. Andrei Guryilov, a member of the Russian parliament and a former military commander, has said on Russian television that a nuclear strike was the only path forward to ensure lasting peace, and that Americans, quote, won't come to their senses until they get hit with a nuke on their skull. That's fun. Let's read that part again. We got 1,900 people in the chat this morning, only 470 thumbs ups. What's wrong with y'all? If you want to be here, be here. Hit the little thumbs up button. If you're new here, subscribe. If you're not new here, you know what to do. Share the show with somebody you love. All right? Okay, Bear. Andrei Guryilov, a member of Russian parliament and a former military commander, has said on Russian TV that a nuclear strike was the only path forward to ensure lasting peace, and that Americans won't come to their senses until they get hit with a nuke on their skull. Okay. Couple of things here. First of all, as our friend Ben from Suspicious Observers would say, Patty? By the way, Patty, I appreciate you. Patty told Ben on a live stream that he and I should get together and do a show. And Ben said, that's awesome. Bear should reach out. I would like y'all to know that I have reached out. I emailed him through the email address at his website. So y'all please continue to tell Ben over at Suspicious Observers, hey, Bear wants to party. Let's do this thing. Next, Ben likes to say, eyes open, no fear. Stay safe, everyone. To which I would reply, yes, eyes open, no fear. I have 50 bottles of potassium iodate in the store at refugemedical.com this morning. They will sell out probably in the next hour. I recommend, if you don't have any potassium iodate, to flood your thyroid so that if a nuclear bomb goes off, you don't glow in the dark. You can get them at refugemedical.com. They're 60 tablet bottles. It's 1 tablet per day. So 1 bottle is a 2-month supply for an adult. They're not so when you see the price, which is a good price, by the way, the best price, tremendous. Believe it, it's a beautiful price. It's not more beautiful than Melania, but it's a beautiful price. It's a 60-day supply, unlike a 14-day supply like everybody else is selling. Okay. He's about to get flood of Bear comments. Watch. Awesome. Good morning, Indiana Constitutional Patriots. Indiana has been a patron of the show for a long time. Good morning, Carrie. A lot of old timers in the chat this morning. Awesome. So, continuing with the shenaniganry of Russian nukes, there's an article I'd like to look at this morning over here from MSN.com, republished by MSN from Newsweek. Russian President Vladimir Putin gave a dark warning about his nation's potential to respond after the U.S. and other Western nations recently announced they were providing Ukraine with several types of tanks for use in the ongoing war. So, and this is important to understand, the elevation of commitment to the war in Ukraine by NATO forces is through the roof. Germany, a year ago, the material support that Germany provided to Ukraine was 5,000 shitty surplus police ballistic helmets that are not going to withstand 545 by 39. They're not. They don't. But here you go. Here's some helmets you can have. We've now escalated to the point that Germany's like, here's some tanks, bro. The U.S., here's some tanks, bro. $40 billion in aid thus far, and we're probably just getting started. Most of that money of which is being funneled back because it's being lost through Ukraine and being funneled back to politicians in the United States. Am I surprised? No, not even a little bit. So we've escalated from, and the U.S. has escalated from advisors on the ground, train, advise, assist, right? Spooky guys doing spooky guy stuff that never happened over there, to here's more tanks, here's more missiles, here's some planes. What else do you need? Like you guys fight them over there, which has been the strategy for the last year. You guys fight them over there so we don't have to fight them over here. The problem with that, and Russia has been correct in my opinion in saying this, is at some point When you continue to provide material aid to a war, you are our enemy. They're right. They're right. And so Russia acknowledges that they are in a war with the United States in Ukraine. America says that Russia is in a war with Ukraine being aided by the United States. Two very different mindsets here, okay? Two very different mindsets. So, back to tanks, Putin, etc. Putin was seen delivering remarks in a clip shared on Twitter Thursday by Max Seddon, the Moscow bureau chief for the Financial Times. In relation to the Western tanks being sent to Ukraine, Putin said, quote, "Those who plan to defeat Russia on the battlefield, us, NATO, don't understand a modern war with Russia will be very different," end quote. I.e., what he's saying is if you think we're going to fight a third-generation conventional warfare in Ukraine without fighting a fourth-generation terrorism war, as well as a fifth-generation asymmetric war with y'all, you lost your damn minds. Now, we all know that Russia has been hacking the ever-loving piss out of any network they can get into for the last few years, and they're going to continue to. And I've said it 1,000 times, but I'll say it again. Every single PLC, programmable logic controller, that controls every single motor and switch and disconnect on every single node of the United States national electrical grid is a vector for attack. Every single one of them. You take out five, not 12, not 26, not 372, 5 transformers in the United States simultaneously, we don't have a grid anymore. Ask me how I know. I put some of them there. Okay? 5. Oh, well, Texas has its own grid. Y'all better shut your mouths, because if it gets cold again, your power grid's going to go offline. Okay? And it doesn't. It used to, but I personally built part of the line that connects Texas with the rest of the United States. Texas has its own grid. It's interconnected. That was done on 1,000 miles of high line running Oklahoma to interconnect Texas with the western grid and the eastern grid so that Texas, whose number one export is energy, has a place to sell their excess energy when it doesn't dip below freezing in Dallas. Yeah. It's all interconnected. That was done on purpose. 5 transformers, all of which are run by Siemens PLCs, programmable logic controllers, all of which are connected to SCADA systems, system controls, and data acquisition, all of which use the internet. You take 5 transformers down, and guess what? 90% of Americans are dead in a year, according to the CDC. Oh, but don't worry, everything's fine. I can just continue whoring with Babylon. Everything's fine. Back to what Putin said, quote, "We have ways of responding, and it won't just be limited to armored vehicles," end quote, the Russian leader added, according to an English translation of a portion of his comments. Blah, 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 blah. U.S. President Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. * announced on January 25th that the U.S. will provide 31 M1 Abrams tanks. Also, are they M1A1s or M1A2s? Because the armor on the A2 is classified. And the armor on the A1 is not that great, which is why we have an A2. The U.S. will provide 31 M1 Abrams tanks, the equivalent of 1 Ukrainian battalion. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz confirmed last week that Germany would provide 14 Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine. Both of these are main battle tanks. While Poland has also promised to send a company of Leopard 2 tanks, which usually consists of 14. Boo-ba-doo-ba-doo, boo-ba-doo-ba-doo. Reactions from Russian officials to the announcement have been expectedly negative, underscoring strained relations. Peskov said, quote, "Tensions are rising particularly due to the decisions that are made first and foremost in Washington and in European capitals under Washington's pressure. It's about the supply of weapons, tanks, and other things, an ongoing discussion that now concern aircraft. In this regard, tensions are mounting." It was not immediately clear what Putin was referring to in his remarks on Russians' ways of responding, but he said in September 22 that he could respond to what he alleged was nuclear blackmail from the West with his country's own weapons. Quote, "If Russia feels its territorial integrity is threatened," which, by the way, Russia now recognizes Crimea, Luhansk, and Donetsk, southeastern Ukraine, as its territory. If Russia feels its territorial integrity is threatened, We will use all defense methods at our disposal, and this is not a bluff, end quote, Putin said. According to the Federation of American Scientists, Russia owns the largest nuclear arsenal in the world. Experts and officials have been divided on whether Putin could use nuclear weapons, with some saying it is unlikely and others warning that prospects should be taken seriously. Going back to the last paragraph of the brief, assuming my thumbs work this morning, which it's a rare occurrence when they work this early in the morning. Andrei Goryalov, a member of the Russian parliament and former military commander, has said on Russian television that a nuclear strike was the only path forward to ensure lasting peace, and that Americans won't come to their senses until they get hit with a nuke on their skull. That's the brief. I'm going to pontificate for a moment, and then we're going to talk about how to support the show. If you live in a place that makes a lovely target for, say, an aggressive Russian, air quote, president, you might think about strategic relocation. You might just think about that. And I'll tell you, as a byproduct, living in a place where you can't get a pizza delivered, while it's more challenging, the roads aren't as good. You're not going to find 14 different yoga gyms within 5 miles of your house, and there's only 3 coffee shops instead of 72. It has a much higher fulfillment and reward and quality of life than living in the built-up areas. It's more affordable to live. You have a lot more liberty. You can essentially do whatever the hell you want when you live out in the county. At least where I live in eastern Oklahoma, you can do whatever the hell you want. You can't do that in the cities. And frankly, for myriad reasons, regardless of whatever it is that makes the balloon go up. And as we can see, the balloon's been up for a hot minute now, literally. Whatever it is that is SHTF to you, whether it's a natural disaster, a storm, economic crisis, food scarcity, civil unrest, tyranny, war, whatever it is, population density matters. And if you're surrounded by too many people who are unprepared, doesn't matter how prepared you are, because quality has a quantity, or quantity has a quality all of its own. You versus your neighborhood wins. The end. That's why I don't live an hour north of Dallas anymore. It's just not sustainable. And again, quality of life. I was tired of my children turning into little assholes because they were surrounded by other little assholes, spoiled little brats, and watching $90,000 one-ton pavement princesses roll up and down the clean roads where, ironic cowboy-looking chumps hop out with their brand new cowboy hats and boots that have never had mud on them, talking about, how resilient they are. Negative. Because if the balloon goes up and pops, you and 300,000 of your new best friends are all stuck on Dallas North Tollway in rush hour Friday afternoon. You're not going anywhere except maybe a body bag. So strategic relocation has its benefits for lots of reasons. Being a juicy nuclear target is just one of them. You might think about it. You might pray about it. And if the spirit says go, go. Now, clearly it's not right for everybody, but it might be right for you. Maybe this is the thing. Maybe this is the thing that wakes people the F up. And if it's not, I absolve myself over any responsibility over any of y'all. The best that I can do. I don't want 181,000 followers on YouTube. I want 181,000 leaders in your own home, in your family, in your community, in your churches and synagogues. I want you to lead. I want you to peel the scales off of your eyes and do the right thing, do the righteous thing, and be a benefit to mankind, not a liability. With that, we're going to talk about how to support the show. If you're one of those people that jumps off when we have this conversation, this is your polite invitation to beat feet, skedaddle, get out of here, have a blessed day. Shalom. For everybody else that is either already supporting the show or has no interest in supporting the show, they just want the free content for nothing here on YouTube. That's fine. Bless you. Get out of here. At least hit the little thumbs up button on your way out the door. You know what I mean? Now, Patreon. We posted on Patreon this morning. We're doing a series, Bread from Scratch, because a lot of people have prepper food and they don't know how to cook with prepper food. And give us this day our daily bread. How do you make bread from scratch? So there's a video this morning on matzah, which has 4 ingredients. It's an unleavened flatbread. Bread, water, salt, oil. That's it. That's it. Cooks up super fast. 7 minutes, you got bread. It's awesome. So that instructional video is up on Patreon this morning. There are more coming. How to make yeast bread and how to make pizza dough as well. Because, you know, nukes might be falling from the sky, but damn it, it's pizza day and we're going to have some pizza, right? So all that is coming on Patreon. We posted about making matzah this morning. There's a link in the description of every video and live stream. It's $5 per month. I guarantee you it's the best $5 you can spend on the internet. So check that out. refugemedical.com. I've said before, and I'm going to say again, we're back in the world of, when it comes to medical supplies right now. There's, I would say but that would be a wholly inadequate statement. It's tons and tons and tons, literal, per day of medical equipment that are both being stockpiled by the DoD through the DLA, Defense Logistics Agency, and also being shipped across the big pond over to Ukraine. And so things like tourniquets, pressure bandages, gauze, quick clot, chest seals are drying up fast. We are doing our absolute best to stay in stock. If our website, refugemedical.com, says it's in stock, that means it's under my roof and I can ship it to you today. We don't sell stuff we don't have. We, 8 months ago, changed our entire business model because of the unreliability of the medical industry. I was tired of selling stuff to y'all that we didn't physically have in our hands yet, because our suppliers would say, oh yeah, it'll be on Tuesday. Then it'll be there on Thursday. Then it'll be there next Monday. And you might get it 4 weeks from now. Wait a minute, homie. I paid you for this stuff. You said I'd get it Tuesday. We're 30 days later. Where's my stuff? Oh yeah, well, you know, Ukraine. Well, that doesn't help me any. And also, give me my stuff or give me my money back. So we shifted the way we do business at Refuge Medical. If it's under my roof, it's in stock. I don't call it in stock until I physically own it. I have it so that I can turn around and sell it to y'all. So we have what we have. We have Bearfact in stock. This is the Bearfact 3.0. There are many like it, but this one is mine. I'll show you super duper quick again. I got a soft tee, turret onto the outside here. Got my shears here. Your nylon gives you your portability and your durability. It's fully MOLLE compatible. This mounts to your plate carrier, your chest rig, your rucksack. Put it in your car, put it in your skid steer, wherever, right? When you need it, you grab this top right here, you pop it open like so. You grab the red handle and you pull the inner out of the outer. Now you're holding in your hand a purpose-built trauma kit that's designed to work the entirety of the March algorithm. And you know what? What do they say? What's that quote? Imitation is the highest form of flattery. There's a couple other companies now that have totally ripped this thing off. That's fine. They can rip it off all they want, because we make ours in America, made in the USA, guaranteed forever. Forever. You break this thing, I'll replace it at no cost to you. You use the components to save a life, I replace them at no cost to you. You lose it. We've had guys who are out there doing the things, jumping out of attack helicopters and going and shooting bad guys in the head, who are like, dude, I lost my whole kit. My Bearfact was on there. Yeah, here's another one. Thanks for being a good guy, right? So, good morning, Fat Tom. So, you pop this thing open. You got your massive bleeding here, tourniquet, pressure bandage, tape, Sharpie, gloves, right? We need that first. And then in the back, you got your stack. Back here, shears, nasal pharyngeal airway, hyphen, chest seals, 5-iodine gauze pads, and a burn tech dressing. Right, see, there's burn tech dressing right back there. Then in the bottom, you got your quick clot rolled gauze right here, quick clot. And you've got your Mylar blanket, compressed gauze, triangle bandage, Curlix, aka rolled gauze, 2x2s, 4x4s, 5x9s, iPads, eye shield, and fold flat duct tape right there. It's the best kit, made in America, guaranteed forever. And the basic physiology of human beings If you're currently breathing and there's blood inside your body, this kit applies to you. So it's not just for cool guys. We make this in red with reflective for civilians, for soccer moms, for forklift drivers, truck drivers, school principals, whatever, right? And then all the cool guy colors: coyote tan, OD green, ranger green, multicam, gray, black, blah, 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 blah. They're in stock today. Check it out. Buckets are also in stock. Wound care buckets designed to treat a wound, a grievous wound, for 30 to 60 days in your aftercare, right? Gauze is drying up. It's getting harder and harder to get. So get the buckets now while you can at this price point. Okay? Okay, Bear. BCK's bleeding control kits, which has a tourniquet, a pressure bandage, 2 packs of gauze, a Mylar blanket, 2 pairs of gloves, a pair of shears, and an instructional card are $60. So if you got $60 and you need a bleeding control kit, they're at the store, refugemedical.com. And lastly, ARCS, the advanced ripaway kit, is back in stock. Those things are incredibly hard to keep in stock. Okay, we get 70 or so every month, and they're there today. The advanced ripaway kit, refugemedical.com. Your promo code is BearNation, which gets you free shipping on everything in the store. And all of our kits are HSA and FSA eligible 24/7, 365. Okay? Okay. Refugetraining.com. You have 2 weeks from today. We will be in Eastern Oklahoma. And by we, I mean me. I will be there as well. So if you've ever wanted to do TCCC with Bear, I will be there at the Eastern Oklahoma class. It's at refugetraining.com. You can find it. Go there. I announced that to the patrons Wednesday of last week. The classes are almost already sold out. Another perk of being a patron, you get first dibs on everything. So go check it out. Refugetraining.com. Eastern Oklahoma class. We've been had a bunch of people saying we need another Oklahoma class. Well, now you got one. So if you're in Missouri, if you're in North Texas, if you're in Eastern Oklahoma or Oklahoma in general, or Western Arkansas, that's your class, the Eastern Oklahoma class. And if you're not in one of those 4 locations, we have lots of other classes at the store as well. We've got Indiana, we've got Pennsylvania, we've got Central Texas, we've got East Coast classes. We've got a whole bunch of classes up at refugetraining.com. So don't be an ass. Come to class. Learn the fine art of how to not die. Refuge training is incomparable to every other tactical medicine training that's out there. And that's not me saying that. That is now six steely-eyed Green Berets who have come to class and said, dude, this is the best civilian medical class I've ever seen. This is incredible. This is better than some of the training that we've got as property of the United States government. Thank you. So, and as our brother Saul likes to say, your availability of certain instructors is for a limited time. I have no idea what the future holds, bro. Neither do you. I would much prefer you come to class now than wish you would come to class later. Lastly, grindstoneministries.com. Out there doing the things, disaster relief and anti-human trafficking. If you'd like to support our ongoing missions, you can visit grindstoneministries.com. Link in the description for all this stuff. Check our fruits, man. Just put Grindstone Ministries into the YouTube search bar. You'll find dozens of videos that come up of us out there doing the things, not just talking about it, being about it. If you'd like to support the building of Caleb House, which is our juvenile human trafficking restoration facility, which is a bunch of $50 words to say, a place for kids who have been serially raped by assholes to go, you can buy the Caleb House t-shirt, hoodie, or long sleeve. Link in the description. And you can also buy our brother Saw's His Facts Not Feelings shirt, a portion of the proceeds of which go to directly benefit the building of Caleb House. So, I love y'all. You're badass. You're tremendous. Couldn't do this damn thing without you. Thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for supporting our businesses. Thank you for supporting our ministries. Thank you for sharing this show with people that you love. Thank you for being a part of the Bear Nation. The best audience on the face of the earth, bar none. You and I together have done more badass shit than we can even discuss. At some point, at the end of an age, when I write my memoirs, y'all are going to be amazed at some of the things that we can't even talk about right now. And with that, I got to go. Y'all have a blessed day. Shalom.
I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do that.